Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. That's the greeting of the day. Welcome, Final Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Turbo, the CEO. My guest tonight, the Sensei, Big Mike. And tonight, we're going to continue our conversation, part two of business ethics and cryptocurrency infrastructure. But before we get started, I have some admin notes. But now, my admin notes will be called brass tacks. Not to be confused with brass tacks, which is TAX. We're talking about tax as in short for tactics. And for those who are unfamiliar with the meaning of brass tacks is an idiom that refers to the most important or essential aspects of something. It's often used in the phrase get down to brass tacks, which means to focus on the core issues of a matter instead of getting bogged down in details. The phrase originated shortly before, a little history, Abraham Lincoln's assassination, is associated with the silver tacks that decorated his coffin. Now, my brass tacks for tonight is family over everything. Now, we touched base on this a little bit on our last episode on my last brass tacks. Family over everything. Now, everyone isn't family, and family is built. Relationships are built. Everybody who is family isn't family. Everybody that is blood is also isn't family. You could choose your family. It doesn't necessarily have to be of blood. You can choose who you want to be in your family. And a lot of you out there have some of the best relationships with non-family members that probably have extended 30 and 40 years, where you know for a fact that that person has your back. You know for a fact that when it comes down to it, it's you and them getting to the business. That's family. Now, with that being said, continue to enjoy your holiday. Christmas is around the corner. We're approaching a new year, 2025. We have the inauguration coming. A new POTUS is going into office. A new regime is coming on board. Family over everything. Do not get stressed out. There's no reason to get stressed out. Continue your course. Do not allow the elements of whatever you're feeling, of how you feel, because it's how you feel. If you don't have any feelings about it, then it shouldn't bother you. One thing I used to say in a relationship I was in, this may sound a little bit crazy to some, but you'll get it. A lot of people have problems in a relationship, but they're the ones with the problem. So does the problem really exist if they don't mention it?
Does a tree make a noise when it falls down in empty woods?
And that's my brass tack. So we're gonna get right into it. Part two of business ethics and cryptocurrency. And before we do, we are finishing up. So our segments are usually broken down in 7 or 8 segments. So last week, well, not last week, last episode, the first part of it, we talked about the introduction of ethics in cryptocurrency, and what does it mean. And then we discussed understanding cryptocurrency. And part three of that, we discussed the ethical landscape of cryptocurrency and business and ethics. So, segment four, which is what we're about to start now, we're going to start with building ethical infrastructure. And Sensei, the floor is yours.
So let me start with saying you always hear the phrase that blood is thicker than water. You hear it all the time, and you always have those people that are claiming that they're family who want to lay that on you and then guilt you into doing things for them, even though that they don't reciprocate because you're the ATM. And I don't mean just monetarily; I mean also emotionally, etc. So the actual phrase is the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Mhm.
You choose your family. You don't choose your relatives. And if someone's a relative, you know what? A stranger can have more in common with you and be more family to you than those you shared the womb with. And you have to know that, understand that, and really get your hands around that, because that's a huge, huge thing. Because too many people will ruin their lives trying to make their family happy. You cannot make parasitic leeches happy, not humanly possible. The only thing that happiness can come from is from within. So if somebody's not already happy, you are not going to make them happy, no matter what you do. So you need to understand that. And when the time comes, if you have half a damn brain, you cut that loose. See
Yeah.
ya. Peace
See
out,
ya.
Pip.
Bye-bye. You're
You
out
are
of here.
now relegated to relative zone.
Mhm.
You have no holding on me, no bearing on me. You matter not to me at all, because you're no longer family to me. Family has my back 24/7.
Absolutely.
Family, I can call at 3 o'clock in the morning. And they
Mhm.
don't ask me anything other than, where are you? Because when I say where I am, they're already on their way to me. And I'm the
That's
same
family.
way.
Right.
Family calls me 3 in the morning. I ask
Mhm.
them what's going on. I ask them, where are you? And I'm coming ready.
Let's go.
That's family.
Yes, sir.
Family has your back no matter what.
Mhm.
And it's a two-way street. So, and it's not that a bean counting street, it's just that it is.
It is.
It
It's an
just is.
is.
And you can
Yep.
feel the difference as
Mhm.
long as you know the difference. So, one more on that topic. There is a difference between stress and pressure.
Mhm.
Pressure is situation induced. And with pressure, I thrive under pressure. I do not do well with stress, because stress is people cause stress, situations cause pressure. I
True.
deal fantastic under pressure. I
Absolutely.
hate stress. The moment
Mhm.
I'm under stress and it's people, I eliminate the problem, which is eliminate the people out of my life so they're no longer stressful to me, because you can't change them. And if you can't change people, which you can't, then you
You
can't get rid of the stress. So how do you get rid of stress? Get rid of the people.
know. Mhm.
They're no longer in your life. They no longer exist to you. You block their number, you block them on everything. They don't exist to you anymore. The stress goes away. It is a huge, huge thing for you to keep inner peace instead of have peace around you. So now that we've talked about philosophy for a moment, it's just when you went there, when you talked about family, I'm like, man, we got that.
Yeah.
We got that.
Yes,
So
sir.
now we're into businesses and this whole crypto thing. And it's when you talk about ethics, ethics is it's relational and relative.
Mhm.
You're on your side of the table, I'm on my side of the table. I see what's behind you, you see what's behind me. My ethics are going to be related to my perspective, and your ethics are going to be related to your perspective. So you might see things that are happening behind me that I don't see, which is going to change your ethics. It's going to change how you feel about what's right or wrong. And I'm going to have the same inverse philosophy.
Right.
I see what's behind you. That's
Mhm.
going to therefore temper what I believe is right or wrong. So when you look at the ethical challenges of just doing this crypto thing, you have to slow down for a minute and understand. We've talked about what it is,
Right.
talked about the mechanics of what makes it work.
Okay.
So now we look at the ethical portion of it as saying, okay, as a business,
Mhm.
what is the main concern you have as a business? Number one, keep my business alive, let my business thrive, and don't get in any kind of hot water, whether it be that my reputation, my legal, meaning that you can get in trouble audit wise. So you have to make sure that none of these bad things happen to you if you're going to delve into that world.
Right.
So there's things that happen which cause problems. I don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
it is based on a decentralized system
For now.
but
Yeah.
for now, because there's
Mm.
nobody in control of it. So therefore, A trusts B, B trusts C, therefore A trusts C. It's called transitive trust. So it's a
Mhm.
web of all of this trust. The moment that the trust is broken, if it's broken bad enough, then it ruins everything. So you have to be really careful about falling into the um, the risky behavior of, I'm going to call it legalized gambling.
Mm,
And the legalized gambling is, you say, I'm going to invest some of my business money to get high returns because the stock market's not performing good enough. My other investments aren't performing good enough. They take too long and I don't get a high return. I'm going to take the risky road and I'm going to invest some money into this crypto thing because it's exploding 100 to 200 to 500% overnight. Well, here's the problem. You don't think that with that kind of explosive growth, there's not a huge propensity for fraud,
oh, absolutely.
scams,
Yeah.
what's called a rug pull? That's a term where
Mhm.
you get on there and you think you're all set and the rug gets pulled out under you.
Hmm.
Ponzi schemes, you heard about the Ponzi schemes, Bernie Madoff, right?
Right.
You buy into me that you're going to make all this big money. How come you're making the money? Because I'm selling the idea to somebody else and they're actually paying you and I'm skimming off the top. So what
Mhm.
occurs is at the very end, when the Ponzi scheme collapses, the people who invested last lose their butt.
Yeah. That's what
Those who
happened with
invest,
FTX.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Ponzi schemes.
Yep.
And those are so crazy. And the other one's called a pump and dump scheme.
Mhm.
And an example of that, and this is just not that it was intentionally done that way, but you look at, remember when Elon Musk talked about the Dogecoins, and they went through the roof
Right.
just because he mentioned
Mentioned it.
one
Yeah.
thing, mentioned it.
Mhm.
And then that's taken effect. That's a cascading effect now. Everybody's watching that because they're looking for the next one. And
Correct.
they're going to dump a bunch of money into the next one to try and make this big 1,000% return. And they're going to do
Mhm.
what's called a pump and dump. They dump money into it, it rises up really fast, and they're going to try and get out as fast as they can. Pump and dump.
Yep.
What's the ethical? Don't get me wrong. Are you allowed to invest in any way you want to invest? Absolutely. But when you're looking at running a company that has the potential of being audited, your high risk investments can be something that can potentially get you in trouble, especially nowadays where unrealized capital gains are becoming a thing.
Right.
Now, you want to look up something that's going to scare the shit out of you, look up
Oh
unrealized
yeah.
capital
Mm.
gains.
I saw that number the other day.
Holy
Oh, yeah.
smoke. That's
Whoo.
that's some freaky stuff
Smoke.
because it means that you don't even have to make money. You can
Mhm.
look like you might make money. You got taxed on what you might make, not what you did make.
Right.
That's just blows my mind. How is that
Yeah.
even possible? It's like
That's
you're
crazy.
taxing thin air, but that's the reality of the world we live in now because
True.
the tax man wants more and more and more, not less and less. And digital currency is coming under huge scrutiny.
Mhm.
Okay, have you seen that if you do transactions on Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, your digital transactions now have to be reported to the IRS?
Yes.
If you don't,
Mhm.
they're going to gather. You don't think they're going to get that information?
Oh yeah, they're gonna definitely get it.
And once they got it, what's going to happen to you when you file your tax and don't report it?
Hmm. Penalties.
And interest and oopsie
Yes,
doo and
sir.
audits and everything else. And who do
Mhm.
they like to audit? Do you think they audit the big guys?
Oh no, not at all.
Seriously. And that's the biggest lie that has ever been told. Oh, big companies get audited. Yeah, whatever.
Mm-mm.
They have attorneys and staffs of, entire departments of people to keep them out of legal
Right.
trouble. So
True.
there's nothing to audit there. Okay. They have whole teams. You think they're audited? No.
No.
They audit the middle class guy and the little guy. That's who gets
Mhm.
audited. And if you believe anything else, you're full of shit. You're dumb. So you look at that and go, okay, ethically, I have to create a situation that is audit proof, that I'm not going to get in hot water when I perform these transactions or make these investments or accept this currency.
Mhm.
So if you say, well, I'm going to start to accept Bitcoin as a payment, well, tell you what, you better have a bank who's going to play game with you.
Oh yeah.
Because if you don't, how you gonna turn this into real money?
Yeah.
So
True.
that comes into the next term.
How
When
you
I'm
gonna
con-
insure it?
when I'm right, and when I
Yeah.
convert one currency to another currency, there's a term that's out there. It's called money laundering.
Mm. Ding,
And
ding,
so,
ding, ding, ding.
ding, 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 right? If I'm going to
Right.
take Bitcoin
Mhm.
and try and turn it into real currency, because that's how it's looked at nowadays, that opens up a huge risk for quote unquote money laundering. Really huge risk. And
Yeah.
you can read the horror stories about it. If you don't believe me, go check it out.
Oh,
Go look it up.
they're out there.
So the dilemmas we have, we talk about auditing, huge problem. We talk about the risks of your company looking like it's doing money laundering, because all you have to do is kind of look that direction a little, and guess what? You're in trouble.
Here come the
You
art.
don't have to be doing it. You just have to
Yeah.
kind of sort of look like you're doing the things that those people do.
Yeah.
And now they're going to come at you thinking that you're, doing all these bad things.
Mm-hmm.
Then what occurs is you got privacy versus transparency. That's your other ethics concern. You want to act private and be private, and the people you're dealing with when they're dealing with cryptocurrencies want to maintain their privacy. Do privacy and auditing go hand in hand? No.
No.
So
They
if
do
you want to
not.
be audit proof, there goes your privacy out the window.
Yeah.
Because if you can't prove something happened, go try and open up a bank account today. Just go to a new bank you've never been to before.
Mm-hmm.
Walk in with a $200 cash and just walk in there with your ID in your pocket and try and set up a bank account and watch the number of questions they ask you.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Oh, if you want to open a business account, that's a business. What kind of business is it?
Right.
How much money do you bring in a month? How much money transfers out a month?
Mhm.
What's your source of income? Can you verify your source of income? What is everything they ask you? The
Right.
most invasive, aggressive, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not talking nice either.
Oh yeah.
This is aggressive nastiness where they stick their finger up your nose, run
Mhm.
it through your brain, and come out your butt.
And I got one better for you. They want to prove you are who you are, even though they have your ID, they have your biometrics, fingerprinting. We don't believe you. You aren't who you are. We need more proof. It's crazy.
I opened up an account and they wanted to know if I was a drug dealer.
I'm sorry
How
for
much
laughing.
money
Like,
are you going to transfer a
transfer.
month?
Yeah.
And what are you doing with the money you transfer?
Mm-hmm.
They actually asked me that. And I was like, are you serious? So
Well,
I'm going to tell you the regulatory compliance right now with the guise of we're going to cut down on drug trafficking has made it so not the drug traffickers, man, they're too good at this. They don't have that problem. They
no.
pay off the person in the bank and they lie on all the questions. It's everybody else now has to suffer. It reminds me of the Patriot Act. Everybody's going to suffer because we got some few bad apples. And so it's the same kind of thing. Now we have all this guise of transparency. No, that means that you have no privacy. You have absolutely not even the smallest concern or the tiniest little itty bit of privacy anymore.
Not at all.
No.
No.
If you open up a business, you want to do an incorporation or an LLC, you now have to file with the IRS a financial addendum, which then talks about that you are the one who financially gains from that business.
True.
And it's now has to tie directly to you. Used to be you didn't have to do that. A corporation was a shield. Not anymore. Now you have to report, otherwise your corporation gets audited.
True.
Disgusting.
And that's an annual thing.
Oh, every time. That's disgusting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we look at this and go, okay, anonymity versus accountability, privacy versus transparency. Big battle. So it makes you look at the risks of dealing with crypto or digital currencies, and it makes you really kind of wonder, is this worth it? You better have a big upside. And if you don't have a big upside, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Because in the blink of an eye, it can all be gone. It can all be taken from you.
Absolutely.
And we're only talking about the audit side of the fence. Now
Right.
let's talk about ethics of, okay, I want to protect the environment because everybody wants to protect the environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Do you know how much energy it takes to create crypto?
Oh, a massive amount. And yeah.
the
Those
the
servers,
farms that are used, the
yeah,
servers, the heat they produce, they
yep.
require cooling. They're
Ultra
talking
cooling.
about affecting water tables.
Yeah,
They're affecting lakes and rivers by increasing the temperature. Well, you increase the temperature 2 or 3 degrees in a lake, guess what? You kill all the fish.
yeah. And you have
2 or 3
massive algae
degrees.
growth. Yeah.
Yeah, massive
Yeah.
algae growth is terrible. It's
Mhm.
disgusting. So environmentally, crypto is a dirty business.
Mm.
So it's not environmentally friendly in any way, shape, or form. Not to mention the fact the strain you put on the grid. And
On top
we know
of
the
they're
grid
trying to
isn't.
push the electric vehicle.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So if you buy a thermostat
Hmm.
in South Dakota and you put it in your house and summertime comes and the heat's hot and you want to cool your house, if you put up the thermostat that the power company gives you for free, because now it's able to do all kinds of cool stuff for you, people were not able to cool their houses because the thermostat says, nope, sorry, got shut off from the outside. We talked about this
Yeah,
before.
we did. We did. We absolutely did.
So the implications are far reaching. So
Hmm.
how do you balance innovation, which is we all want to innovate, with sustainability? How do you balance that? That's such a fine line of I don't care about the environment. I'm gonna make as much money as I can the moment that I can. Or I'm gonna try to be responsible and be a good steward of my resources. Now, raised on a farm. We didn't if we clear cutted our woods, what did you do afterwards? You quickly replant it because that way everything comes back up and
Back in the
regrows.
next season. Right. Hmm.
Absolutely starts growing again. You don't
Right.
clear cut and leave it. You sometimes have to clear cut a forest because you can't thin it out without damaging the canopy or the structure. It's a whole structure in your mind about how do
Hmm.
you manage your resources. Like you don't plant corn every single year.
Right.
You kill your ground. You have to rotate your crops.
Hmm.
Corn, clover, hay,
Yeah.
you rotate your crops so
Right.
that the ground stays healthy.
Hmm.
Same thing when you're talking about this Bitcoin stuff and this. You're going to go out there and try to be involved in that. You might not be the one actually mining the Bitcoins, but if you're using it, what are you doing? You're supporting that infrastructure, which does that.
Right.
And is it sustainable? And how do you know it's sustainable?
Mm.
Because you're seeing the end product, you're not seeing what it takes to get to the end product. You see? So ethically, it gets to be pretty interesting. So right now, it's a fairly unregulated space,
Right.
but that's changing.
Yeah. Every day is changing.
So what you end up seeing is certain countries are much more crypto friendly
Hmm.
than others. So what occurs? We're in a global economy. Do you think you're going to leave your currency where it's overregulated and overtaxed and they tax you on unrealized gains, or are you going to move your money somewhere else?
You're definitely going to try and move it somewhere else. Absolutely.
So that starts to happen because that's called regulatory arbitrage,
Hmm.
relocating to crypto friendly countries. It happens. So once you start talking about that, you now are in the realm of okay, I now need to, so that I'm audit proof, I
Right.
need to document my policies and procedures. Because if you don't spell out in advance how you're going to deal with this stuff,
Hmm.
and you get an audit, especially if you get a federal audit, and you can't explain it with documentation, then guess what happens to you? Now you're accused of money laundering.
Yeah.
Just like
Handy
that.
dandy wrist warmers. Hmm.
Just like that.
Yes, sir.
So there's companies who try to lead the way in this, and you want to watch.
Yeah.
But one of the things is it's a term out there. It's called regulatory collaboration. And what that is you work with the regulators instead of avoiding them. Now, that sounds like that could be a fun thing to try. I don't know that, I want the fox in my hen house and
Right.
ask him how I should gather my
How-
eggs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You follow me?
Hmm.
So that's what it comes down to. You're looking at, okay, what's up with this? You know, um, work with the regulators. Now, I understand with finding out what the regulators are looking for. I get that concept
Mm-hmm.
because then you know what to avoid. But it's a challenge because now, like I said, the fox is in the hen house. You think that a regulator is out there to make your life better?
Right.
No.
No. And Mike, since you mentioned the fox in the hen house, question for you, and this is related to the statement you just made. What steps can businesses take to integrate ethics into their cryptocurrency infrastructure? Since we're talking about foxes in the hen house.
Well, the first thing, like I said before, and I've mentioned this time and time again, the number one thing you're going to do is you got to do your research.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a business who wants to get into this, you better do your homework. You need to look at the pros and the cons. Is it worth it or not?
Right.
If you say, oh, this is going to be worth it to me, I'm going to gain 10 to 15% or 20%, great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because you then can balance the cost of implementing it versus the gains you get. If I open up my market and say I accept crypto now as payment, and I realize that it's going to cost me 15 to 20% overhead to accept that payment. You follow where I'm going with this, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if I say, well, I can accept crypto payment, but I'm going to have to pay to convert it to regular currency.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to charge a premium.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to know those variables before you agree to do it. Once you know the pros and the cons, which I'm talking about all the pros and all the cons,
Mm-hmm.
then you better develop your policies and procedures. Once you develop your PMP, now you get the framework. Then you can do your test run, your dry run. Does this even work on a small scale before you implement it on big scale? So
Right.
there's where it comes down to your, how is this going to actually be implemented? It's one thing to understand the ethics of it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good or is it bad? Which ones am I going to accept? Am I only going to accept the crypto that is the mainstream crypto, or am I going to accept all of them? You
Right.
see, that's a big difference, right?
Well,
Because the little sketchy ones, they come and go flash overnight. And as a business, do you have the flexibility of responding to that quickly? Somebody
you don't
pays
know
you
when it's going to happen. Yeah.
right. Somebody pays you in a super high risky, volatile
Mm-hmm.
crypto, and you don't convert it fast enough, and it's gone. What happens to you?
You just lost a ton,
You,
shit ton.
shit ton.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to watch for.
Mm-hmm.
Can your business survive or make it through getting hit?
Right.
So then you say, well, we're only going to accept the top 3.
And as the balloon blows, what do balloons normally do?
Goes the weasel.
Yeah.
Bop, bop, bop.
So
And you hear the horror stories all the time of it happening.
absolutely.
All the time. So, we use the word ethics, and there are books out there written, articles out there written. You can do your research, but there's certain key fundamentals you have to pay attention to
Mm-hmm.
before you pull the trigger and say, we're doing this. I said it before and I'll say it again. Are you audit proof?
Right.
If you're audit proof, next thing, does it meet with the goals of your organization? Can you convert that digital currency into
Regular currency.
regular currency? Because you pay your bills in regular currency. Are
Mm-hmm.
all of your vendors accepting crypto? Because if they're not, then you're the money launderer. Now, if your vendor accepts crypto and you accept crypto, then great. You're in a crypto world. Fantastic. Somebody has to convert it to real dollars.
Somebody.
And then, like I said
And
it before.
it's crazy. As you're converting it, is it a real time conversion?
Oh, you're going to pay an overhead. No.
Yeah.
I'll give you a perfect example of that. Is I remember when silver made it down to $12 an ounce, and it was fantastic. Well, oh my God, I'm going to go buy as much silver as I can afford.
Right.
Here's the problem: because I wasn't buying in $10,000 or more,
Mm-hmm.
I had to pay what's called a premium. So even though the price at spot silver was $12 an ounce, I was paying a premium to make it to $17 an ounce for me to even buy it.
Buy it. Yeah.
So you have to pay a premium on the way in. And when you sell your silver, guess what? You're paying a premium on the way out.
On the way out too. Yep.
So in order for you to make any money in silver, at $12 an ounce, and only there for a day or two, at $12 an ounce, and you pay at 17, it has to get to 17, and you don't even break even.
Yeah, right.
It's got to get to 24 before you break
You
even.
can break even. Yeah.
See what I'm getting at? So now you're talking, it's got to go double the value of what you paid for you to make any money. It's got to double. So what's the point of you doing that? Now, don't get me wrong. Diversification is beautiful. And in your personal world, it is better for you to have two things
than one.
Right. So if the world gets stupid, which there's a possibility, we always think that it might, there's two things you should always have on stock. Now, the first thing you should have is if you're a farmer always knows that they have a year's worth of food in supply at all given times. That's a farmer. And it's not for anything weird. It's called crop rotation.
Yeah.
So when I have a crop that comes in and I can my produce and I can my meat and I can these things that are going to sit on a shelf for a year, that's so that next year when I make my next crop, I still had enough food to get me through the whole year. So farmers will have a year's worth of food on stock at all given times. CDC says what? Was it how many months? Is it 1 month or 3 months?
3 months, I believe.
3 months, the CDC says you should have food on stock at all given times. Okay, so that's the case. We look at that thought process of that you should always have that available to you. Take that and apply that forward. Apply that when you start talking about this currency thing. You need to have a reserve that if you get slammed a couple times with having bad crypto, that you can still survive it. Because if you don't, it'll ruin your business.
Absolutely.
And if you can't convert the money, it ruins your business. There's so many examples out there, and you can Google the crap out of this and go find examples of people who have succeeded in moving towards crypto and people who have failed at it. And you just have to look at that because it's evolving every single day.
Absolutely. The margins are out there too. Yeah.
There's margins.
Yeah.
But again, you're paying the premium coming in.
Yep.
Paying the premium going out. You better calculate that into the business model.
Invisible tax. Invisible tax.
So you really better know that. And don't think that regulation is going to become less. If anything, the regulations are going to become more. And here's why I believe that to be the case. I'm future looking. I believe that an unregulated current environment of cryptocurrency is going to move towards a regulated, government controlled, and we talked about this cryptocurrency called the digital dollar.
Yeah, the USD coin. It's out there.
It's coming.
Yep.
You know, if you don't believe me, go and look at the World Bank and some of the meetings they have and some of the things they talk about.
Yeah.
Oh my God, everything is already put in place globally to have a global currency.
Yeah. And who do you think is going to pay for that power that it costs to make the cryptocurrency?
Well, who do you think's the country in the world who's going to pay for everything? I call it this way: the death throes. Hear me on this one. The death throes of the United States are the birthing pains of the New World Order. Now, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I'm looking at what's out there, public information already. This is already out there. It's been talked about. We already have regions in the world already developed, already done. Everything's set up. Everything's in place. Rock and roll. And the only thing that's left is the American public, which goes, we don't want to give up our privacy. That's the only thing stopping everything from happening. Is we're so paranoid, us bad Americans are so paranoid about our privacy that we don't want to give up our control of our money. So all it takes is one little shake the can a couple times and oh my God, I'll give my privacy up so I can have protection. and the Patriot Act is a perfect example.
Mm.
I give up my rights that you can invasively look at anything I do 24/7, and I don't care that you have a warrant or not. You can check me out as much as you want because I have nothing to hide because I'm stupid. Because it doesn't matter if you're a criminal.
The
We don't
next
even
level security break. Yeah.
the laws that are being created so quickly, we don't even know what's in them. How many times have you heard, well, we're going to pass this, but we don't even know what's in it yet?
Mm-hmm.
Because it sounds good. And then 2 years down the road, you go, man, that was really bad for us. But guess what? Too late. Anticipate the same history repeats itself.
History definitely.
If I say we follow these 5 steps,
Mm-hmm.
and 10 years down the road, guess what we do? We follow the same 5 steps. If I can track that pattern, I can predict the future. And believe me, when you look at the waves of the ocean, and if you've ever sailed a sailboat in the waters, you learn to read the waves. I can tell when the wind is changing.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell all kinds of things, whether it's safe to go that direction or not, based upon the fact that I've seen enough waves to know this is what's coming.
Right.
So once you see patterns and you know what's coming, to be completely frank with you, it doesn't look great for us as individuals and individual freedom. And I know that we have to innovate. I know you need to stay relevant. But at the same token, how do you protect the integrity and privacy of your company and organization
Mm-hmm.
in this ever-changing, rapidly changing world? Because if you're not able to rapidly change how you do your business, you're going to be left behind. It's going to change. Instead of taking 5 years to change, it's going to change in a year or less.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Things happen so quickly
Yeah.
in today's world. You can't be a big company with a big ship and attempt to move that big ship. You have too much momentum.
True.
Small organizations, small companies, you have to learn how to pivot quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before you pivot, you better do your homework. Don't jump from the frying pan into the fire. Old school stuff. We talk about the old school stuff, right?
Yeah.
No, I was growing up. What do we drink out of? Water hose.
Mm-hmm.
Outside. You weren't allowed in the house. You're raised like a feral animal. You only come home when the streetlights come on.
Right.
Right? And if you ever heard your mother come out the back door of the house and scream your first name, middle name,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah,
you
that's a
should have already
problem.
been home 5 minutes
Right.
ago.
5 minutes ago. Yeah. True. True. True.
That's feral. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a boomer, but I was raised like Gen X. I was raised like a feral animal. You don't come home unless you're spurting blood. If you're oozing, wrap that up and keep
Yeah.
going.
Wrap it up. Get back out there.
Go.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Mm.
the world we're in is so different, and it's changing so rapidly. It's just, I don't want to say it's not impossible. It really isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be smart about it, right?
Right.
So the mechanisms behind it, which cause us craziness, is called the mechanisms behind the phenomenon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Social media influence. Oh my God! Look at is that you or
No,
me?
that's me. That's me. That's me.
The trends happen so rapidly because people are so engaged with social media
Yeah.
that the moment something pops on social media, everybody looks that direction. No, we don't know down the road. We know down the road that maybe that was bogus and that wasn't legit. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
People move towards it. So it creates a feedback loop of speculation, investment, and that's it. And it's no longer do we invest over the long term and expect to get a return in 5 to 10
Right.
years.
Yeah.
We want returns in weeks,
Weeks. Yeah. Yep.
less than a month.
True.
And if we don't get big enough returns, we're looking for the next big thing, next big thing,
Mm.
next big thing. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be careful because that creates a new craziness or fear or whatever you want to call it, called the FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Mm.
So
That
I'm
energy's
thinking,
already here.
oh my God, it's
Yeah,
happening. Oh my God,
it's
why did I
happening
not? I
already.
should have invested in
Yeah.
Apple so many years ago. Well, you had the opportunity back many years ago to put $5 in it and you didn't do it. So shut up. That's a fear of missing out, right?
Yeah.
But it's becoming such a thing that people are taking risks they shouldn't take, which then puts them in the risk of falling for Ponzi schemes, scams, ripoffs, pull the rug out from under me. All that stuff can happen because you're afraid of missing out on the next big
Big thing.
thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so what does that cause? It causes market sensitivity. The
Mhm.
market is so freaked out. It's a tiny market, extremely speculative, which means highly risky. And the cryptocurrencies make susceptible spikes and crashes. Now, why do they crash? And you say, well, why do cryptocurrencies crash? Because people invest in it and want to cash out before it shits the bed.
Yeah.
So if I say I invested $10, it's now at 100. Oh, dude, I'm cashing out. What's that cause the
Absolutely.
price to do? Price is going to now, because
Absolutely.
I just cashed out,
Yep.
and it can cause it to dip. And what happens if everybody cashes out at the same time?
Mhm.
It's a huge volatile. So now you're like, okay, I want to ride the wave, but I want to cash out before it reaches the peak, and I want to buy before it reaches the bottom. I want to before it starts coming back. You see what I'm getting at? So
Yeah.
now you're trying.
Absolutely.
Now your behavior is extremely risky and
Mhm.
extremely speculative, and sometimes it doesn't do what you think it's going to do. And the scariest part of this is that when you have, and I'm not even talking crypto, and
Well,
I've mentioned this in the past, when you're talking
mhm.
about cities, governments, and county governments and state governments investing people's retirement money into the stock market because they're chasing the returns.
Straight. Yeah.
So market volatility becomes huge because it's all about the short-term goals, man. They got to have the monthly gain.
A lot of people are questioning in a lot of these back rooms now that Bitcoin is at 100,000 per.
Mm-hmm.
If I have 1,000 Bitcoins, I'm ready to cash out. Who's going to who's going to pay for that?
Treat it like a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
The sucker at the
Everybody
end.
yells out, who's going to pay these people?
Look at the real estate market when people says, "Oh, I'm going to buy and oh, I'm going to
Yeah.
flip it and do good, flip it and do good, flip it and do good." And
Right,
guess
right,
what? You
right.
bought at the peak.
Mm-hmm.
You bought a $500,000 house. It was really only worth 200,000
Yeah. Now you stuck
because
with
you're
the
going to
bill.
flip it and make more. Because
Yeah.
last 3 people flipped it and made more, and you're going to try it one more time. Guess what? You fell flat on your face. It's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
When you see what Zillow does, talk about ethics. Those people have no ethics at all. They'll come into a neighborhood. Now, I don't want to get sued, mind you, but
Yeah, Mike.
organizations that of that caliber in that generation have been known to do certain things. I'm not saying anybody specifically, but I'm just saying,
Right.
as a disclaimer, I
Yeah,
have
it's for
heard of
entertainment purposes
situations
only. Yeah.
where entertainment personal neighborhoods, somebody sells a house, and the first house the neighborhood's selling sells over asking price.
Mm-hmm.
And a second house sells over asking price. What does that do to the value of the entire neighborhood?
Right.
And you can lose money on 3, make money on 4, and you made big money.
Mm-hmm.
Because what it does, it takes the price and I call that when Wall Street invests in real estate, the little guy can't buy a house anymore.
Oh,
And
yeah.
let's look at the reality of the world we live in. Can a
Yeah.
normal standard person on a standard, I'm going to say if you're making 100,000 a year, which is no longer high class,
No.
that's basically low middle
Middle.
class.
It's low middle.
Low middle. Can you
Yep.
afford to buy a house anymore?
Mm.
You see what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
That's called speculation of the market.
Mm-hmm.
So where's the ethics in that?
Right.
If the little guy has to have ethics, but the big guys don't, you follow where I'm going with this, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There should be a study for new home buyers and how many people go into foreclosure in the last 10
Well,
years. Who
you know, they
took it
made a movie
on.
about that, right?
Oh yeah.
Remember
Without
The Big
saying the name
Short?
of the movie and the the companies behind it. But
I
yeah,
don't
absolutely.
the Big Short. And guess what?
Yeah.
They still doing it today.
Hmm.
If I take 10 bad loans and put them together, it's now a good loan. I can sell the good loan.
Yeah.
That's that. But where are the ethics in that?
Right.
Little guy, little business trying to get in this market has to be ethical as all get out because they get smoked if they're not ethical. But the big guy doesn't have to be ethical because they got lawyers.
And this is a segue to my next question. How do you see the relationship between business ethics and cryptocurrency as it's evolving over the next decade? Since we're talking about futures.
All right. The little guy's going to lose. The big guy's going to win
Too easy.
because the big guy
Hmm.
is going to pay the regulators so that they make the regulations in favor of the big guy. The little guy doesn't know what's coming. And by the time the little guy's already into it, the regulations change and he gets screwed. So I see it that the big guy is going to get richer and the little guy is
Mm.
going to get poorer.
Wow.
That's what I see as a trend which is coming. So when you say that, oh my God, the odds are against me and it's so terrible, what can I do? Be careful about getting involved in risky technologies
Hmm.
and risky things because things that are risky are not going to be good in your favor. The little guy is not allowed to win.
Mm.
Do what you're good at. Make the money that you're okay at making because you're going to make a 5% profit. Don't chase the 30% profit because the 30% profit is going to cost you 100% because the regulations are going to change midstream. You're going to be taxed on unrealized capital gains. I'm telling you, you want to call to action. You want to Google something? Look up unrealized capital gains.
And folks, that's some scary stuff. If you haven't seen it or don't see what the unrealized capital gains are in America right now, oh boy, it's an eye opener. Go check it out.
Frightening. Absolutely frightening.
Mm-hmm.
Frightening. So there was a song that came out many moons ago, and it was Don't Believe the Hype. Dun, 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 don't,
Don't believe
don't,
that.
don't believe the hype. That song, I'm telling you, it tells you the truth in all this mess. Don't believe the hype. Be careful. Don't do risky things which are too volatile. The more volatile it is, you're looking at that carrot dangling in front of you. And you ever see that commercial with the guy with the fishing pole? And the girl says, "Oh, insurance, give me money," and she gets a new purse. And the
Right.
other girl has a cheap insurance. She goes, "Insurance, give me money." And this old man sitting in the old fishing waders whips over a dollar bill at her with a fishing pole. And she goes to reach for it. He goes, pulls it back and goes, "Oh, you got to be quicker than that." I am telling you, you got
Yeah.
to be quicker than
Quicker
that.
than that. Yeah.
Because when you see something and you think that it's going to be good for you as a small business,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't have an audience of medium or big business. You seriously think that medium business folks or big business folks are going to watch these podcasts? Oh, hell no.
Oh
We're
no,
talking
not at all.
the backbone of the country, small businesses, mom and pops.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those who watch this kind of stuff. Okay. You got to be quicker than that. Don't believe the hype. If it looks too good, it is not good. And you have to be smart enough to avoid the pitfalls more than anything else. You're more as a small business owner trying to survive
Right.
the myriad of potential pitfalls that
Mm-hmm.
want to destroy you. So you spend your effort avoiding those. So don't get excited about it. Go, oh, I'm going to do this. Somebody's already been doing it. They already figured out a way for the big guy to win. They already figured a way to screw the little guy. And the
Yeah.
moment you get involved in it, guess what? You're already behind the power curve. Do you
Already behind.
seriously think you're in the ground floor on any of this stuff that's going on? No,
Mm-mm. No.
because you don't have the capital to invest at the level that's required to be involved in the emerging technologies. We
Yeah.
are only going to be involved after the fact.
Hmm.
I don't have a 2 or 3 or 10 or $20 million to invest in an emerging technology and then can afford to lose that, I can't do that. So
Yeah.
therefore, since I can't do that, I'm only going to be able to reap the benefits after the fact. So therefore, the risk reward is probably the most important thing for you to evaluate if you're going to get involved in any emerging technology.
Hmm.
What's the risk reward? Is it worth it?
Right.
Why invest effort and energy into that when you can invest effort and energy into developing what you already have?
Hmm. And before uh, we have a closeout and call the action, this last question I have to ask. We see where the world is going and how the big guy is going to continue to become bigger and the small guy is going to continue to become smaller. Now, when we're talking about regulators, are the regulators is regulation even ethical anymore?
No, they're bought and paid for, man.
Yeah, that's
They
my
are
point.
they are bought. And here's
They
the thing:
pay
do
for it.
you think regulators are elected officials or appointed officials?
Definitely appointed.
All right. Well, you tell me of any of the individuals who are in these particular political positions who have spent millions of dollars to get there,
Hmm.
of course, of our money. What are they doing? They already know the regulations that are coming. They make their investments appropriately, and they do what? They make huge money at
Yeah,
our expense.
absolutely.
We don't get to try and invest until well after they've already got it. They've taken their money
Mhm.
and they've ran, and then we try and get in, right?
Yep.
So be careful of understanding regulation because regulation is definitely not to our advantage. The folks that have power and money already know the regulations before they know the regulatory changes before we even think about what's happening. So they know. I'll give you an example. I was on a farm. The state guy would come in and say that gate can't
Can't
be
be
there.
there.
We're going to fine you because the gate is there. So you take the gate down. The federal guy comes in after and says, "Where's the gate?" You see what happens?
Hmm.
Two different regulations hitting you. Which one do you listen to? So what do? You know the federal guy is coming, you put the gate up. You know the state guy's coming, you take the gate down.
Yeah, yeah, the gate down,
But
right?
this is the world you have to
You have
live
to
in.
live in. Yeah. Hmm.
But this is expect that kind of insanity to happen
Mm.
on a regular basis. And imagine you trying to run your business and maneuver this crap. Now, if I have a large enough business that I have an entire department or staff that can track this crap, then I can always stay a step ahead of it.
Oh yeah.
But does a small business have that capability? I'm so busy trying to keep my business afloat. I don't have time to track all the regulations. And shit, as far as I know, I'm a criminal because the laws have been passed already that make me a criminal whether I know it or not. And if you don't think you're a criminal, every single citizen in this country, whether you know it or not, you are already a criminal in one fashion or another because the laws have already been passed. Whether they're enforced or not doesn't matter. But I
Mm.
guarantee you right now, there's enough laws on the books that every single solitary living human being in this country, one way or another, is breaking the law somewhere. And
Wow.
you are already a criminal, whether you know it or not. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter if the law is enforced. The fact of the matter remains everyone in this country currently today, as I speak, is already a criminal because there's that many laws on the books
Wow.
and they contradict themselves and it doesn't matter because now it's all in the hands of who? Lawyers and judges.
Judges. Yeah.
And who makes the money in a lawsuit?
Hmm.
The judges and the lawyers.
Absolutely.
Everybody loses on both sides, but the
Yeah.
judges and the lawyers, they make their money no matter what.
Well,
Just the nature of the world we live in, baby. Get used
well,
to it.
listen. I'm not a smart man. You're not smart,
Nope.
and this podcast isn't a smart podcast. But
Nope.
I would say if you are able, and no, because that's probably illegal too. Get yourself a lawyer and a judge.
But you know
Become
what, though?
friends with them.
Lawyers don't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Go to ChatGPT and ask it the legal question.
Right.
Because guess what? It knows all of the
Oh,
laws. And
yeah.
guess what? Your attorney doesn't know all the laws. He knows
Hmm.
procedure, but he doesn't know all of the laws. Your
Good.
AI
Right.
already knows
Knows.
all of the laws.
Mm,
And I've told you, basketball is human
mhm.
knowledge. Golf ball is AI. In 5 years, reversed.
You give it 5? I
That's
won't give it 5. I give it 2.
well, we always plan 5-year technology
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
And in 5 years, technology changes.
True.
And it's always been that way.
Yep.
Now, it's always been that way since we begun the technological revolution.
Hmm.
Now, we don't talk about when that occurred, but remember when PCs first hit.
Right.
Now, I'm old enough to remember because I was doing Wang word processors. No such thing as a PC, personal computer.
Hmm.
There was no such thing as DOS. I've done DOS since DOS started.
Wow.
But what I'm getting at is that
Hmm.
technology is changing ever more rapidly. And when technology changes, regulations catch up to technology. Regulations do not precede technology, they catch up after the fact.
Right.
So
You
there's
think
always
regulation
that.
gonna be able to catch up with technology as fast as
Never,
we now?
no,
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 not at all.
no,
Mm, mm-mm.
no. There's no way.
Yeah.
As slow as the government operates and is
Hmm.
behind, it's 5 years behind every time it tries to catch up. It's
Yeah.
already 5 years behind. So technology is changing at such a rapid pace, the laws can't keep up,
Keep up.
not
Yep.
even close.
Mm.
No.
Maybe AI will start
And
writing
does
the
it
law.
even matter right now? With
The,
all the advent of HIPAA and
mhm.
privacy and protect your personal information, look, we already know every single solitary human being who lives in the United States of America has already had their personal information compromised. And I'm talking name,
Mhm.
address, social security
Social
number.
security number.
So all the laws in the world don't matter. Look, if I say I'm going to create a law that says it's illegal to do A,
Right.
and the criminals go, I don't care, the
Hmm.
criminals obey the law. No. So what's the point of writing laws? Laws are only going to hamstring the law-abiding citizens. The criminals don't give a damn about the laws.
Right.
So why do they care?
Mm.
It's just the nature of the animal. You got to know what world are you living in? Are you living in fantasy land where we live by the law of the books and all?
Mm.
No, you're an idiot. Know that the criminals are never going to obey the law. So if the criminals don't obey the law, and you do, who's hamstrung? I'm not saying be a criminal. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Disclosure here.
He's
Don't
not
be a
saying be a
criminal.
criminal, people.
Don't be a criminal. But
Hmm.
know what they're doing and how to protect yourself against what they're doing. And
Right.
we said this in the day one when we start talking about how to protect yourself. What's the number one thing you should do? Lock your credit. You can also lock your social security number. Did you know that?
Hmm.
You
Yep.
can go to the SSA and you can log in, verify your identity, and you can freeze or lock your social security number. So nobody can steal your social security number and try and act like they're you.
Right.
So you have to protect yourself on all fronts, no matter what. Don't engage in risky behavior.
All
Look,
right,
if the
people.
world is a septic tank, are you going
Hmm.
to stick your hand in the septic tank or you put gloves on?
You definitely gonna put gloves on.
Because otherwise you smell like poo. So do not smell like poo.
Right. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Big Mike, the sensei. I'm Turbo, the CEO. And that will complete part one and part two of business ethics and cryptocurrency. A few references before we close out that you guys can go check out. Um, Unlocking Digital Cryptocurrencies by Andreas Antopoulos. I know I jacked his name up. Regulating Cryptocurrencies by Peter Connolly, The Ethics of Cryptocurrency. Business Ethics in the Age of Technology, the Journal of Business Ethics. articles from CoinDesk and Forbes magazine, and lastly, a review of current developments, International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Ooh. We out of time. Boom. That's our show for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. I'll see you on Sunday. And man, enjoy your weekend. And if you got leftovers, don't let the leftovers go past Sunday. That's the limit. Kill the leftovers on Sunday. But y'all have a great night. Thank you for tuning in. And good night.